Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the fascinating, high-stakes world of modern physical security. We walk past security cameras, swipe our access cards, and notice perimeter fences all the time, but we rarely stop to think about the incredible science and methodology actually making it all work. Today, we're exploring the coolest gadgets, the absolute core principles of defense, and the surprisingly human element that ties the whole thing together.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by looking at the tech-savvy pros running the show, break down the foundational 3Ds of security, dig into the actual tool belts used for detection and deterrence, and finally, bring it all back to the human behind the machine. Let's get right into it.
All right, part one, the tech-savvy security pro, myth versus reality. Right off the bat, let's squash a pretty massive myth in the industry. After 9/11, this idea blew up, this zero-error syndrome, where people honestly believed perfect technology was just going to make human security guards completely obsolete. But when you look at the reality of human versus tech capabilities, it's a totally different story. Technology is absolutely incredible for overcoming human fatigue, right? It gives us that invisible 24/7 surveillance without ever needing a coffee break. But, and this is a big but, we still desperately need human capabilities. We need actual people to monitor those complex situations, to interface with other human beings, and to actually step in and de-escalate things when it hits the fan. Tech is a vital upgrade to our human faculties, not a replacement.
Which brings us to a really crucial point, summed up perfectly right here. Science and technology is to industrial security what water is to ducks. Basically, modern security pros absolutely have to be tech-savvy if they want to survive. If they don't understand the gear or how it meshes with unpredictable human behavior, they literally can't do their jobs. They've got to take to it like ducks to water.
Moving right along to part two, the 3Ds of security, basic principles.
This is the absolute bedrock of all security countermeasures. Every single gadget, every hidden camera, and every electrified fence we're about to look at, they all exist to accomplish at least one of these three fundamental tasks: deter, detect, and delay. The whole point is to keep unauthorized folks out on the exterior and perfectly manage the authorized folks on the interior. In a perfect world, you deter an attack before it even gets off the ground. If that doesn't work, well, you need to detect the breach instantly. And while the cavalry is on the way, your system has to physically delay that intruder for as humanly long as possible.
It's super interesting to see how this plays out in real life. You take a huge variety of sensors and just layer them logically across a single facility to nail those 3Ds. Think about it in layers. On the very outside edge, your exterior protection uses things like glass break detectors and sirens. That's your loud perimeter deterrence and detection. Then as you move inside the building, bam, you've got passive infrared or PIR motion detectors blanketing the hallways to create a second invisible net. And finally, for the people who actually belong there, you give them remote controls, wireless keypads, and keychains so they can easily arm and disarm the whole shebang without triggering a false alarm. It's a remarkably slick, layered setup.
So, let's open up the gear bag for part three. The detection tool belt are invisible watchers.
First up, intrusion detection systems, or IDS. These things are an absolute nightmare for intruders, mainly because you can't easily trick something you can't even see. Check out the specs on these modern systems. They are fully wireless, meaning there are literally no wires for a bad guy to snip. They use these brilliant learning smart codes with over 4.7 million combinations to totally block out radio interference or hacking attempts. And the auto voice dialers? Oh, they are relentless. If an alarm goes off, the system automatically calls up to 9 preset numbers: police, fire, local hospitals, you name it. And get this, if a kid answers the phone or it hits a voicemail box, the system is smart enough to hang up and instantly redial until it gets an actual emergency dispatcher on the line. It's wild.
But detection doesn't just clock out when the sun goes down. That's where night vision devices step in. And the physics here are just so cool. See, human vision only works in a tiny sliver of the light spectrum. Night vision tech dips into the near-infrared band. It doesn't look for body heat. Instead, it literally amplifies the ambient light from the moon and stars using the photoelectric effect. Here's what happens. A photon hits a detector plate, knocks an electron totally loose, and turns that into a cascade of electrons that slam into a phosphor screen. That gives the operator a super bright image, almost always in that classic green-yellow color. Why green? Simply because the human eye is insanely sensitive to it.
And when it comes to access control, we have to talk about biometrics. Now, we've all seen the Hollywood movies, right? Like James Bond just casually spoofing a retinal scanner and Die Another Day. But in the real world, modern biometric access systems rely on incredibly stable, practically unforgeable human traits. Because you can't easily copy a biometric reference, these systems have rapidly become the gold standard for high-security areas. Sorry, James Bond, but reality is leaving those Hollywood myths entirely in the dust.
Detection is also a two-way street. It works in reverse to actively sniff out or block unwanted eyes. Let's say you're in a highly sensitive corporate meeting. You can use a wireless video jammer, which, by the way, is sneakily built to look exactly like a standard car key fob. You sweep the room, and it actively blocks frequencies from 900 to 2400 megahertz. It'll even flash if it spots a hidden spy camera. And zooming way out, we use global positioning systems, tapping into 4 of our 24 orbital satellites to track things like hijacked cargo or manage massive global supply chains. The accuracy is nuts. It can pinpoint position of velocity to within 30 meters anywhere on the planet.
All right, switching gears from hidden detection to highly visible deterrence in Part 4, Gadgets for Deterrence, the first layer of defense.
So let's look at electric detection systems, or EDS. These aren't just your standard chain link fences. They're highly intelligent, multi-wire barriers. The Energizer pumps a short, high-voltage pulse through the wires roughly once every second. If you touch it, you get a really painful but completely safe shock to tell you to back off. But here's the genius part. The system constantly monitors the voltage at the absolute end of the fence line. So if the circuit is tampered with or cut, it knows instantly. That guarantees a 0 false alarm rate. And the whole thing can run on a simple 16-volt plug pack or even remote solar panels.
Now, if that physical perimeter actually fails, security guards have to rely on non-lethal, incapacitating weapons to shut things down up close and fast. On one hand, you've got chemical sprays. We're talking a fine-grained 10% pepper formula that packs a staggering punch of 2 million Scoville heat units. That is serious heat. It instantly swells the mucous membranes, making it super hard to breathe and slamming your eyes shut for 20 to 30 minutes. But it does no permanent damage. On the other hand, you have electroshock weapons like tasers or stun batons. These bad boys deliver 200,000 volts that completely scramble your superficial muscle functions, pretty much dropping an attacker right where they stand.
And just to show you how dense and efficient this deterrence tech has become, check out this ultimate combo device. It's a spray and stun gun all rolled into one. It gives the operator 2 serious defense options in a single hand. It weighs just over 11 ounces and is only 6 inches long, but it can zap an attacker through thick leather clothing with 200,000 volts, or hit them with a 6-foot blast of pepper spray. Talk about an insanely efficient piece of non-lethal gear.
But, as we've been hinting at all along, all this incredible tech is basically useless without the right people. Part 5. The human behind the machine, maintenance and training. I love this real-world anecdote because it perfectly illustrates how a tiny oversight can completely wreck a multi-million-dollar setup. So an inspection team is checking out a brand new building, and they notice a perimeter contact alarm on a parking garage door looks a bit off. Turns out, the maintenance staff had simply adjusted the door, but totally forgot to reinstall the contact alarm correctly. Because of that one mistake, the security team was able to literally just tape a standard office paperclip between the 2 magnetic poles of the sensor. That was it. A tiny metal paperclip totally bypassed the entire high-tech system and gave them free, unrestricted access after hours. Human error remains completely undefeated.
And that brings us to a very important number, 7. On average, 7 years is the maximum shelf life of any security system out there. The tech just degrades. Cables rot out in the rain. Bushes grow over your fancy CCTV cameras. Things just naturally fall apart. This highlights exactly why doing routine, daily checks and having rock-solid 4-year maintenance contracts with the manufacturers are absolutely critical if you want your system to actually survive and work when you need it. In the industry, they call the ideal setup a double knock system, a setup that is supposed to be entirely foolproof and tamper-resistant against vandals. But there's a fantastic quote by Sri Jawaharlal Nehru: "Training is expensive. No training proves more expensive." You can buy the most insanely advanced expensive gadgets on the market, but it is utterly useless if you don't have tech-savvy, well-trained professionals running them. The system is only ever as strong as the training and the attitude of the human beings at the controls. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to chew on. We spend our lives surrounded by millions of dollars worth of advanced sensors, invisible watchers, and high-voltage fences designed to keep us perfectly safe. But with all this incredible technology running silently in the background, what hidden vulnerabilities in your own environment are just waiting to be bypassed by a simple paperclip? Take a look around today and remember that delicate balance between high-tech defense and human diligence. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning the world around you.